And joining us for more on the upcoming votes on solar energy amendments are Bill Johnson, president of Brilliant Harvest, and joining us by Skype is Dr. Yogi Goswami, the director of Clean Energy Research Center at the University of South Florida. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us today. You know, here's where we want to begin. From a marketing standpoint, this is really confusing because basically if you are for having solar in your home, you basically would lean to voting yes on Amendment 4 next week and no on Amendment 1 in November. As the Tampa Times said just today, it's unusual and potentially a bit confusing for any interest group to send voters two different messages at the same time.
It certainly is. There's no question about it. It's a kind of a artifact of our wacky politics here in Florida, but you know, the amendment that's going to be voted on next week, Amendment 4, is a bipartisan, you know, initiative that would really benefit everybody in the state of Florida in terms of adopting solar. By basically what Amendment 4 does is it removes tangible personal property taxes on solar arrays on businesses. And so if you own a business and you want to put solar on your building, today, you would be taxed on that every single year based on the tangible personal property value of those panels. So this would eliminate that tax. And that would allow businesses to adopt solar, which currently is very difficult to do because of those taxes.
Dr. Goswami, the utility industry is in favor of Amendment 1 that will be voted on in November. Are you for that or against that? And you know, how do you respond to the utility industry that says that that is the best pathway forward for solar energy usage here in Florida?
I disagree with the utility industry for this amendment because, in my view, this amendment doesn't do anything to promote solar in this state.
Could you?
So I would recommend voting against Amendment 1 in November.
Can you tell me how in the world we are the Sunshine State and we only rank 14th in the nation in terms of the availability of solar panels?
Well, you know, it's unfortunate that we have fallen behind in solar energy. I remember back in the early 70s, state of Florida was the global leader in solar energy. Most of the solar energy equipment, that means the panels and other things, they were being manufactured in the state of Florida. It created a lot of jobs. Unfortunately, certain things happened and that killed part of that industry. But now is the time to bring that industry back here, increase employment in this state. So that means anything we can do to encourage greater use of solar energy, that's what we should be promoting.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and we have talked about this a lot of time. What exactly happened in the late 1970s, or actually early 1980s, is that the Reagan administration canceled a tax incentive for homeowners to put up solar panels. Is that not correct?
That is exactly correct. And it wasn't really just killing the tax incentives. It was the way it was that killed the industry. That 1 year the tax incentive was 40% of tax credit. And after December 31st, it went from 40% to 0%. And so what happened, a lot of people bought a lot of that equipment up to December 31, and then for the next 1 year, nobody was buying equipment in the state of Florida, so naturally that industry could not survive. If that had been done gradually, industry might have adapted, but it was the way it was done that really killed the industry.
Bill, why is the utility industry so opposed to Amendment 4 in terms of how does that adversely, I mean, I guess there's an obvious answer to it, but if you could explain why it actually threatens the utility industry.
Well, Amendment 4 basically allows more people to do solar that really can't afford to do it today. By eliminating that tax, it makes solar more affordable. And the reason that that's an issue with the utility companies is that, you know, they see that as a loss of revenue on their part. If somebody's got solar panels on their roof that's producing electricity, they don't need to buy that electricity from the utility company. And so the utility companies have been very opposed to any legislation or amendment that would promote more adoption of solar in the state of Florida.
Dr. Goswami, what difference does it make whether we're getting solar energy from panels that homeowners are putting up on the roofs of their homes, or whether the utilities are putting up their own solar panel fields, which they are, in fact, both in the Tampa Bay area and around the state?
You're right that whether the panels are on a homeowner's roof or whether the panels are in a central plant that a utility has built doesn't really make a lot of difference. I mean, from the utility point of view, I can say that they feel they can control it more if they are doing it. But on the other hand, my advice to the utilities is rather than oppose something that is good for the environment, good for the state, good for jobs, they should find ways that allow them to make money for their shareholders, but not oppose things that really encourage people to put solar on their roofs, whether that's homeowners or whether that's small businesses.
You've expressed that position before, and I also understand that you've gotten a lot of pushback from the industry.
I mean, I have a lot of friends in the utility industry, and they ask for my advice. I talk to them, but I always, and I can see that some of them are doing a lot for solar energy and renewable energy in other states. And I would like them to do that in the state of Florida so that the customers here in the state benefit from it, and we increase employment in this state that solar energy will bring.
Bill, what's the difference between doing it in other states and doing it here?
Well, it has to do with the regulatory environment that we have here in Florida. You know, today we have basically one utility is allowed to sell electricity in a given geographic territory, and in these other markets in other states, they have open competition. And so some of the biggest utilities in Florida are actually very big renewable energy providers in other states, but not here in Florida. And Dr. Goswami makes a couple of very good points. You know, the first is that there is an opportunity here to create a win-win, actually a win-win-win, because we can create policy in Florida that creates jobs, helps homeowners, and benefits the utility companies. It doesn't have to be a win-lose relationship.
We have less than a minute left. What happens if Amendment 4 passes next week and also Amendment 1 passes in November?
So if Amendment 4 passes, that would certainly be a big boost to solar adoption in the state of Florida. If Amendment 1 passes in November, there really will be no change to the current policy. And that's what's interesting about Amendment 1 is that it really almost does nothing in terms of changing the law. It just takes the existing regulatory framework and puts it into the Constitution, which is kind of strange.
I hope we got this all straightened out for everyone. Bill, Dr. Goswami, thank you for being here.